from the Shalom from the Friends of Zion Museum. My name is Albert Wexler. I'm the director of the Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast. And with me are today Danny Ayalon and Ann Ayalon. Really happy to have you. Ambassador Ayalon, you served as Israeli ambassador to United States, and then you were the deputy foreign minister, some say the real foreign minister during this period. So I'm really happy to have you join. Well, that's cool. Now I understand, of course, and I'm a great fan of your videos you have posted about the history of what is the West Bank and many other videos that are really, really very informative and great. And you were actually working very closely with Ariel Sharon, correct?
Yes.
And you saw the inside workings of the cabinet. You saw the interaction, of course, with the United States administrations, because you are well connected also since your ambassador position. I have a question that is maybe kind of intriguing, but what was the role of Sharon with the Gaza disengagement? Was it his idea, or was it more a pressure from the United States?
Yes, well, Albert, it was his idea through and through. And the reason he actually was thinking about that, and it wasn't very easy for him, was because of the changing geopolitics. On the one hand, we saw that the world is going to put a lot of pressure on Israel. The Europeans already had all kinds of political plans that would have been really a danger for Israel. The United States, with its very friendly administration of President Bush, Bush 43, was on the verge of, let's say, accepting those plans. They could not hold too much longer. So we needed some new strategy that would change the tide, that would make a new reality with new dynamics. And with thinking together with the United States, we realized that Gaza was an area which is very well defined. It's fairly small. And with Gaza, we could try and really give the Palestinians a new chance, whereby they will control their own lives, they will run their own lives in their own territory, with great cooperation from Israel and the international community, with a lot of funds coming in. And Gaza, which has a beautiful shoreline, the idea was to turn Gaza into a Singapore in many ways, and have and build there a tourism industry, good, sophisticated agriculture, many other things. And also Gaza was easy because it had only 8,500 Israelis who lived there in a few communities. So the whole thing was, let's do Gaza. We talked to the administration, and they were pretty much with it. But there was no partner on the Palestinian side to do a deal with. So we decided, okay, we are not going to be held hostage in Gaza because of the intransigence of the Palestinians or their lack of ability to run their own affairs or make any decisions. And the agreement was between Israel and the United States. And for evacuating Gaza altogether to the last inch, together with the 8,500 Israelis who built their own lives there, we were talking about 3 generations almost, was excruciatingly painful. National experience for all of us, but mostly for the 8,500s who had to leave behind everything that they have built in their lives. In many cases, they had to even dig their graves of their loved ones and move them on to Israel. And what we received in return from the United States is very well defined and detailed in the presidential letter, 24th of April 2004, a presidential letter to Prime Minister Sharon, whereby the United States is not only committed to Israel's self-defense, but also to Israel's deterrence capability. This was a real step up. Also recognizing that Israel's right for defensible borders. Defensible borders, this is, I would say, a code word that we will never leave, at least not militarily, the Jordan, the valley, the Jordan Valley, because this is very important. These are defensible borders. Also, there was a recognition by the United States of the major population centers in Judea and Samaria, which was also a new thing. So for all these great achievements, the thinking was, we can give up Gaza. And the idea again was that we will have a partner in Gaza, that we can start building life together, and that this would spill over also to the West Bank, to Judea and Samaria. But this was not the case, because the Palestinian leadership has not changed a bit since the days of Hajj Amin al-Husseini in the 30s, who was an avid admirer of Hitler and a partner of Hitler. And we realized for now, that the Palestinian leadership, for them, there is no cooperation, there is no coexistence, there is no compromise. For them, it's all or nothing. And the Palestinian Authority that took over Gaza, and again, we gave them the Gaza to the Palestinian Authority, by the way, with all the infrastructure that was left there, greenhouses and all kinds of piping and industrial equipment. It was all burnt the first hour that we took after we left. And a year went by, a year and a half. In 2007, Hamas, these terror organizations, Nazi-like, ISIS-like, took over in a coup against the Palestinian Authority. And they have been controlling Gaza since 2007 to the detriment of Palestinians and of us, of course, with all the terror and with all the violence rounds, until this last one, which really is something that we have not ever experienced here. This was the 7th of October. Just as the 7th of December 1941 will go down as a day of infamy, as was mentioned by President Roosevelt after the Pearl Harbor attack, we have our 7th of October 2023, which will go down in infamy. And we have lost more Jews in this day than in any other day since World War II, since the Holocaust. And they were children, they were old ladies, they were entire families. These were the ones that Hamas was bragging the victory in the first 24 hours. Well, no more. And now we are in a new situation whereby we'll have to actually rout Hamas and deal with Hamas just like the world dealt with the Nazis. That means nothing less than unconditional surrender. And after that, we'll have to clear Gaza from Hamas, what I can call de-Hamasization, just like there was a denazification in Germany. So this is where we are now. We are still in the midst of the war. Fog of war still prevails, but the tide has changed. They are no longer Hamas terrorists in our territories. We pushed them back, and I guess pretty soon they will see that the road that they use, the roads they used from Gaza to Israel, will be the same road that we will use from Israel to Gaza.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. This picture that, of course, we see right now is so horrible, so violent. I mean, these atrocities that were committed on the 7th of October it will take time to process, and especially for the families who lost their dear ones and those still kept as hostages. the report that we are broadcasting from this beautiful place here, Friends of Zion Museum, is called Answers for Our Allies. And we have seen that there was a brief moment of sympathy for the Jewish people as these horrible events were unfolding and the world could see what was happening. But as Israeli land incursion into Gaza will happen, I'm sure that this tide has been turning already and will turn even more. And you have been a very strong Israel advocate for the Christian world. What would you say? What would be the answers? What would be the arguments to remind our Christian allies all over the world during these dark hours?
Well, I think our friends, our Christian brothers all over the world should understand this is the moment of truth. This is where the world is divided between evil, between Satan and between the godly people. And now everyone should rise up. Nobody can stay silent. If you're silent, then you side with the bad ones, with the evil and with the satanic forces that we see all over the world. It's not just the Middle East, because the Hamas is part and parcel of the global jihadist movement, which is pretty much run by Iran. Iran, the Ayatollahs of Iran, they use their proxies, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas, Islamic Jihad in Gaza. They use the Houthis in Yemen. They use the militias, the Iranian militias in Syria, Iraq, Libya, and Sudan. And their ambition is clear, not just to take over the Middle East, but to take the entire world. And for them also, it's do or die. It must be Islamist Sharia land according to their beliefs. And this is what we face. The nuclear ambitions, illegal nuclear activities of Iran is not an end goal in itself. It's just the means to help them get their political goal of taking over the Middle East as a first step. Now, what do we ask from our Christians? First of all, to be with us and pray for us. We really feel the prayers. These are really strong weapons of God, are the prayers. And also in deeds as well. And here I must defer to my wife, Anne Ayalon, which is the president of CFMDA, the Christian Friends of Magen David Adom. Magen David is a Red Cross, and they are doing a wonderful job saving lives every time, every moment, every day. And anything can help with our medical equipment and medical teams. So, Anne.
Albert, you asked what would we say to the Christian community in order to help. And there are a lot of things that the Christians can do. First of all, they do need to be very well informed that this is an attack not only on Jews, but also on Christians, on the Judeo-Christian community. And so when they finish with the Jews, they will then come to the Christians. The first thing I would like to recommend that they do, in addition to the prayer, which Danny already mentioned, is to contact their congressmen, their senators, their legislators, their leaders in their communities, in their states, and to be as influential and vocal as possible, because we see on the campuses and worldwide in the major cities, all of these anti-Semitic people who are pro-Hamas and don't seem to welcome getting the facts or understanding the truth. So we need to also be very vibrant and vocal in our support of Israel and understand that this is a blessing that God has given to the Christian people to support the Jewish people. It's very clear in Isaiah. And we know that the non-Jews are going to carry the Jews back to Israel, to Eretz Israel, for a nation, and to be watchmen on the walls for the nation. So we really do ask for that kind of advocacy and support. And then in First James, we hear him say to fellow Christians that he shows his faith by his deeds. And I believe this is very important. You need to be financially supportive of Israel at this time. And there are many good organizations that you can give to and know that it is going straight to the purpose that they are giving it, whether it is for the Israel Defense Forces or for helping the families who've lost their victims, or if it's, for example, Magen David Adom, which is who I represent, the Christian Friends of Magen David Adom, for ambulances and motorcycles and equipment. There is a whole array of things that you can do financially to help Israel. And I would really encourage you to look for those. I would just like to mention, since I am speaking, that our website is www.cfmda.com. So you can go on there if you want to donate to Magen David Adom.
Absolutely. I think this is a very, very noble thing to do. And Ambassador, I heard from Estonian opposition at this time of crisis that they said, isn't this the time to support Israel by recognizing Jerusalem and moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem? Now, several countries have done this. What would you, as an ambassador, and you know this world of foreign ministries, what would you say? How could we proceed?
Well, there is no better time for it. As we mentioned, this is a moment of truth globally. And this is where we have to stand for the truth. And the truth is that Jerusalem has been the capital, the eternal capital of the Jewish people for the last 3,000 years, and was not a capital of any other nation or people. Many occupiers came and left because the Holy Land is situated very strategically. So many came to conquer, but none made Jerusalem as the capital. Jerusalem as an idea always won. So there's no better time than to move the embassy into Jerusalem. All decent nations, all peace-loving nations, all those who stand by the truth, by the history, and all those who also believe in the great future of Judeo-Christian legacy, heritage, and cooperation in the future should do that and not lose any moment over it.
Thank you so much. Now, we have a very, very difficult problem during this war, and this is the hostages. We have printed these posters for our Christian friends, urging them to stand with us and to post them, not just on the town hall squares or public places, but also in the social media world. You as an ambassador, you had to deal, I guess, with many difficult issues. How can Israel deal with this situation, and what can our Christian friends do?
Well, thank you. Israel cannot deal with this alone. There are more than 200 hostages that were kidnapped. Mostly are civilians, including old ladies and men who need their medicine and medical care, which is denied from them out there in captivity. Whole families with children. So, and there are many nations involved because there are quite a few dozens of citizens of the United States, of France, of Germany, of many other countries. And here is where the countries should pull together and put enormous pressure on the Red Cross. This is a humanitarian issue for the Red Cross to deal with. And there should be a clear-cut answer that Hamas, as savages as they are, they must release the hostages. And they are the ones who are responsible for their well-being. according to not only all human norms, but also according to the international law, according to the laws and rules of war. They are responsible for them, for their well-being, and that nothing will happen to them. And actually, sooner they release them is better for them. This is what should be explained to the Hamas by the Red Cross and other human rights organizations and humanitarian groups.
So we could ask our viewers, our friends, to connect their governments, their elected officials, to put pressure on the Red Cross. Is that the best way to go, or is there other foreign policy methods that can be used?
Yes, Hamas has been getting a lot of money from Qatar, and they have gotten a lot of logistical support and infrastructure connections they have with Egypt. So there should be also a pressure on the governments of Qatar and Egypt, who are in touch directly with Hamas, that the Qatarian people will put the enormous pressure on Hamas to release the prisoners, to make them understand that it is their interest to release them.
So we should encourage our friends to have demonstrations at the Qatar embassy all over the world, wherever they are, to put pressure on Hamas. Would that be the way?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, we have seen, of course, the support and the demonstrations come from very many different cities, from Oslo and Helsinki and Bogota, Colombia, and many other places. We have seen our friends stand in the town hall squares and fly the Israeli flags, and that has been beautiful. But what can be done to continue with this support? Because as I mentioned earlier, the tide is turning. We have seen also the Hamas campaign of lies, blaming Israel on this explosion at the hospital, which actually was never Israeli attack.
Yes, and we all should understand that actually a fair number of rockets fall on their own heads because of malfunctions, because of misfiring. Actually, we counted from the start of this war on the 7th of October, we counted almost 500 rockets that fell short, actually killing their own people. So this is what we should tell the people. They should just reach for the truth, for the facts, and not go after the lies and the fake news and the concocted news and videos that Hamas and their collaborators prepare. They are unfortunately masters of propaganda and of hatred. And this is what we should fight with, is with the truth. The more we learn, the more we get the information, and not stay silent, but speak up.
And I would add to that, Albert, just one thing. The social media is a very, very important tool, and everyone should be sending the information out to all of their friends, to their churches, to anyone that they possibly can, business associates, and get that information out there. People do want to get good information.
Albert,
thank you, Anne.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have a hard stop. I have to jump on another interview. So with your permission, I will leave now. Anne is still here. If you have maybe a last question for me, I'll be happy to answer. But Anne is very capable of answering everything.
Absolutely. Danny, you have done so many fantastic videos. I mean, people don't realize that Gaza has also a border with Egypt. They think Israel can put the blockade on Gaza Strip. Where can people find those videos, and will you continue doing these videos?
Yes, actually, we will continue, and we are moving into the next phase of also preparing an academic course which will really explain the situation from a geopolitical point of view, historical point of view, and hopefully we will have this course ready in universities very soon. It's three academic credits that we can make, and maybe can explain some more about it. And about Gaza, as we mentioned, the idea after we left Gaza was, as we mentioned, for them to have peace and build. But everything that we gave or allowed the Gazans to import in for supposedly for buildings and shopping centers was all used for bunkers and concrete fortifications that is used now against us. Actually, Hamas not only took over Gaza and the population as hostages, but also dug deep inside, and there is a whole underground city of Gaza where they are. And they get some of the electricity and water from the Egyptian side. And at the end of this war, what we should see is that the people of Gaza hopefully will be free under a new leadership, and Hamas should be out not only as a military entity, but also as an ideological satanic entity. And this is the idea we are looking for. At this point, what we're asking for the population of Gaza, the uninvolved, to clear the densely populated, the urban centers where Hamas is, and Hamas is launching the rockets from hospitals, from mosques, from schools and kindergartens, and from tall buildings, residential buildings. This is what they use as their caches of munitions and also as launching pads. So we hope that a humanitarian relief will be found for all those hundreds of thousands of poor people of Gaza, where they should move to the other side, where the Sinai has this vast expanses of desert, where they can get shelter and food and water, just like the refugees, the poor refugees of Syria received in Turkey with an international aid. I think that would be a temporary solution for them until they can come back when Hamas is no more.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Thank you so much for joining us today. And what would be your final words for our friends of Israel all over the world?
Just a big thank you, a big hug. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much. Shalom from Jerusalem.
Thank you.